Chapter 1. The Growing Teenager. You can be certain about one thing. Today's teenagers are stronger and more spirited than ever. They will stand up against what's wrong and won't back down when it comes to having their opinions heard. They are generally more empathetic and smarter than previous generations too. They will have a say about anything and everything and feel things more deeply. The reason can be contributed to their exposure to the world via the internet and social media. It should surely be counted as a blessing, but we also know of its dark side and how harmful it can be for a young adult to cope with the pressures of it. Most of the time, these changes not only affect them on the whole, but also the parents. It leaves you confused about how to respond and react to the situations you find yourself in, and no matter how many parenting books or articles you have read online, the reality is too real and difficult to handle. As they try to be more in control and independent, there is sometimes a clash between you two. You are then expected to have a cool head and manage and prevent conflicts before they escalate and you two drift apart. In this first chapter, we look at the various social, physical, and emotional changes they go through and how they affect their behavior, attitude, and mood. The changes are mostly puberty-related, which means they can't be blamed for all the chaos they create because they are a part of it too. If it is hard being a parent, it is also hard to be a teenager and go through so many transitions at once without having proper knowledge of it. Physical, emotional, and social changes. During adolescence, it is common to notice many cognitive, social, and emotional changes in young girls. The way their interactions change, the way they form friendships, the way they search for their identities are all aspects of the many changes happening within them. Physical changes being the easiest to decipher and note. However, many emotional and social changes also occur that we must take into account trying to learn about their mood, behavior, and interactions. Physical changes. Puberty can start as early as 8 or as late as about 13. The standard, however, is set at about 10 years of age. Puberty is what leads to the many bodily changes we see in teenage girls. Some of the most common changes in their physical appearance include breast development. Breast development, or budding, is one of the most prominent indicators of puberty. Girls develop nickel-sized bumps under their nipples, and their nipples become sore and tender. Body hair. Girls, when they hit puberty, notice coarse growth of hair in their underarms, legs, and around the genital area. Pubic hair, according to many, is the first indicator of puberty. Periods. Periods is the most important indicator of reaching puberty. The timelines can vary, but if we talk about the USA, the average age for a girl to have her first period is about 12 years. Increase in height. Unlike boys, girls have a faster growth spurt and begins before their first period. The earliest signs of height growth are when their breasts start to bud, around 6 to 8 months before their first period. It must also be noted that by the time a girl has her first period, the rate of their height growth decreases, and they only grow 1 or 2 inches taller after that. Wider hips. Girls also notice their waist becoming smaller and their hips becoming wider. Sweating and body odor. Sweating under the armpits is another common occurrence when girls are turning into women. They may need to shower more often and apply deodorant in their armpits to avoid smelling bad. Emotional changes. Now that she is turning into a beautiful young adult, you may notice the show of strong feelings and intense emotions. Their mood becomes unpredictable, and they demonstrate many ups and downs at varying times, which makes it harder for parents to interpret and respond accordingly. Thus, the increase in the number of conflicts at home because they feel unheard, misunderstood, and unvalued. Most of the blame can be put on the different chemicals in their brain and their lack of emotional intelligence. They are unable to process and express their emotions like grown-ups, and it leads to an increased amount of frustration. Some other significant emotional changes include increased sensitivity. With time, they become better at processing others' emotions, which in turn makes them empathetic. However, they may still have a difficult time reading or decode facial expressions and body language. Become self-conscious. Suddenly, the way they look is all that matters. They become conscious about the many physical changes they are going through, and it affects their self-esteem. With little knowledge about their unique stature, they start to compare themselves with other girls in their school and feel insecure. Lack of decision-making skills. Many teenage girls think that they are invincible. They think that they are queens of the kingdom and thus want to rule. However, this often leads to bad decision-making, such as dating the wrong boy or using unhealthy and damaging products for their skin, face, and hips without the knowledge of their parents to become more desirable. Social changes. Young girls are so worried about where they fit into this world that they are always searching to associate themselves with someone or something. This is the age when they begin to idolize their teachers, celebrities, social influencers, or their parents. They try to put themselves into a certain box. Either they are hot or they aren't. Either they are thin and skinny or fat. Either they are popular or unpopular, etc. They will put on different clothes, get their hair dyed after crying for a week in front of their parents, or start dieting. As parents, you must know that this is just a normal phase in their lives. They are just trying to figure out their standing. With time, their sense of identity becomes stronger, and they get a better sense of who they want to be like when they grow up. Other than that, you can expect them to depict the following changes. Seek independence. Their need for independence increases. They want to decide for themselves or at least have a say in matters concerning them. Develop a sense of morals. They will start to differentiate between right and wrong. They will start to take responsibility for their actions and be ready to suffer the consequences of a bad decision. They will also be inquisitive about the right morals and values. Seek more responsibility. They will start to own up to their actions, both at home and in school, and be more willing to work on their strengths and weaknesses. Seek new experiences. As they learn to gain control of their impulses, you can expect them to indulge in some risky behaviors, such as self-harm over a heartbreak, or driving while intoxicated. This is the doing of their brains that encourages them to try new things and seek more out-of-the-world experiences. Become influenced easily. They also seem to be easily influenced by their peers, role models, and other influencers they follow on their social media accounts. They will try to be like them, do what they do, or just be inspired to grow up to be like them one day. Most girls this age fantasize about TV celebrities, movie stars, and the bad boys in their school, and have imaginary romantic relationships with them. Explore sexual identity. Talking of romance, the hormonal balances and the puberty-related changes also make them want to try sexual things with a partner. Most teenagers do it out of curiosity, or because others are doing it too. They may also have intimate relationships early on, which is why it is highly critical that you discuss with them the topic of safe sex in detail. You must also tell them that they shouldn't feel pressured to do anything they don't want to do, and report to you if anyone forces them to. Mood swings, social media, and independence. As stated, puberty brings along a new set of challenges and changes. The physical changes young girls go through during the first 3 to 4 years can trigger many body image-related issues. The less confident they are, the poorer their self-esteem. Hence, you can expect them to be always a little self-conscious about what they are wearing, especially during the days of menstruation, or looking like with pimples and acne breakouts on their face. The onset of the discomfort can have a significant impact on their mood. They may seem anxious, angry, or depressed. Moreover, their brain is still in the process of developing with the prefrontal cortex as its main candidate. This region of the brain is responsible for decision-making and judgment, which is why we may notice some poor decision-making on their part about their choices and preferences. However, since it is just a phase, their choices change with time, and their capacity to make sensible decisions improves too. Mood swings and teen girls. We have often seen a stereotypical image of a difficult daughter in movies and TV shows, where the parents feel helpless when it comes to knowing how to handle them. They can be seen fighting with their siblings over insignificant things like a TV's remote, or sitting in the front seat of the car when driving to school. A lot of times, this anger is a way of releasing the pressure and frustration they feel within. According to one study, teenage daughters do suffer from mood swings when they are growing. Masijewski et al., 2015. Some 500 adolescents were called in for experimentation. Their ages ranged from 13 to 18. The teenage girls were told to keep an online account of their daily happiness, sadness, anger, and anxiety for the next 5 days. After reviewing the individual responses, the researchers found that mood swings were quite prevalent in early adolescence. The girls showed extreme variations in their level of happiness and sadness. For a parent, it can be hard to deal with the ups and downs they go through. They are unable to know what to do and can be quite confused. Therefore, to make sense of the situations, they label them as disrespectful or difficult, which isn't the case. Social media, body image, and teen girls. Body image is a critical issue with young girls. As they start to sprout, they become extremely concerned about the way they look and feel. They become insecure about their looks, and the pressure to look good and healthy on social media just adds to that pressure. During an interesting online survey by Common Sense Media, 35% of teenagers, girls, are worried about being tagged in unattractive photos and videos by their friends without their consent. Another 27% of them feel stressed whenever posting a picture of themselves on their social accounts, uncertain about how it will be received. Further, 22% of them feel extremely sad and worried when they don't receive any likes or comments on them. Rideau and Robb, 2019. On one hand, social media helps us to stay connected and be aware of everything happening around the world, and on the other, it is raising a generation of self-conscious young men and women who go to extreme lengths to look beautiful. According to one study, the use of Facebook is linked to an increased risk of eating disorders among young girls. Mabe et al., 2014. Not to mention social media also gives rise to incidents of cyberbullying. Anderson, 2018. Some people feel bad because they are mocked for being different, while others feel left out and unnoticed. It is wise to say that the cons outweigh the cons when it comes to one's mental health and peace of mind. During a TV show called #Being13, Inside the Secret World of Teens, a group of 13-year-olds was called in for a survey. The researchers found that those who spent and checked in on social media 50 to 100 times a day were less happy and satisfied with their lives than those who checked it only a few times per day. Independence and teen girls. The growing need for independence is another sign of adolescent development. Teen girls become more responsible, figure out their values and morals, and express themselves through their fashion choices, friends, the music they listen to, or hobbies they are interested in. They may not always be in line with the ones made by their parents, and thus conflicts may arise. They want to be able to make decisions for themselves. However, they aren't always the right decisions, and you might want to save them from the hurt and damage early on. However, because it isn't coming from them, they might not take those opinions too well. Again, no need to worry, as failure is the best teacher. The more times they fail, the more valuable lessons they learn. This also helps them develop resilience, i.e., coming out of a bad experience with their head held high. For you, it mustn't be easy to know that they are going to fall and still not lend a hand. Don't. Or else they may see it as a conflicting opinion and deliberately attempt that thing just to prove you wrong.